South African Airways has cancelled nearly all its domestic and regional as well as international flights scheduled for Friday and Saturday. The airline says the cancellations come after the South African cabin notice that their members will go and strike from 4 a.m. on Friday. The airline is hoping to minimize the impact of disruptions on its customers. SAA Spokesperson Tlali Tlali joins me now in studio to shed more light on this. Tlali, good morning to you. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning.
Workers and unions have now promised the mother of all strikes. How did we get to this point?
Look, it is regrettable that we find ourselves where we are right now. We were under the impression that we are working together with labor to implement our long-term turnaround strategy in order to rescue the company, lead it on a path that will make it to be financially self-sustainable. It got to a point where we had to sit around the table with labor in the context of wage negotiations, where they placed a demand for a wage increase on the table, and the company indicated that under the current circumstances, their demand is unaffordable, and we find ourselves not, at least at this stage, being able to meet one another and have the issue resolved.
You speak about a turnaround strategy and a commitment, yet unions, on the other hand, have said that SAA has never been committed to turning the airline around. What do you say to that?
It is unfortunate that they look at the situation in the manner they do. However, we're in a position to demonstrate and make reference to certain specific initiatives that we have implemented in the context of executing our strategy. Some of these things relate to the changes that we have implemented in the context of our network as well as our fleet. More recently, you have seen that we have taken A350 aircraft. All these developments are in the context of the implementation of our strategy in order to improve the financial performance of the airline. These new aeroplanes will bring certain benefits as we move forward, as they operate, as we remove the existing older fleet that is operating at the moment. And these are some of the initiatives. Let me also paint a picture. Our strategy, the design thereof, is based on 5 key pillars. One of these pillars has to do with what we refer to as an optimal organizational design. Hence, we are also speaking to them about how do we change things around, turn things around in order to make the airline to be a fit for the future entity. So there's a host of initiatives which labor and a number of other internal stakeholders are aware of. And I don't think it is a true and accurate reflection of the situation insofar as a strategy implementation is concerned. Beyond that, we are saying we understand the demands that labor is placing on the table in terms of wage increase. We are not saying they are not valid, we are not saying they are not legitimate, but we are saying that they need to work with us and enable us to implement the strategy. When we will have been able to raise enough funds, we will meet the obligation and the undertaking that we have made, which is an offer that is placed on the table that we will give an increase to the employees who are affected here of 5.9%.
Now, all of this, this 8% wage demand comes just days after SAA announced a restructuring process that will affect 944 jobs. Now, unions have also been vocal about this, saying that this process is merely a farce. They're saying that the restructuring process is nothing more than a farce to disable workers from demanding that 8% wage increase. What do you say to that?
It is disappointing again that they view the situation in that manner. As I indicated to you earlier on, that we are talking about a strategy implementation that is based on 5 key pillars. And one of these pillars has to do with the optimal organizational design, which speaks to the restructuring that we are talking about. So it is a question of them seeing the two processes that are running parallel, and they seek to connect the dots even where there is no nexus between the two things that are happening at the same time.
So should you succeed as SAA in retrenching 944 workers, what does it mean to the pocket of SAA in terms of the money that you'll save?
Look, it is really about saying, under the circumstances, have we done everything possible, and are we leaving any opportunity for us to improve the bottom line insofar as the financial performance is concerned? And the answer to that question is no. What informs that is the design of the strategy, which has informed what the structure and the total number of workforce must be. So the strategy informs us that if we are to implement that strategy going forward, as the numbers of the workforce indicate at the moment, 944 of them are in excess of what we can afford. And if we can find a way around it, the airline should be able to make a saving of approximately 700 million per annum. We need to work towards rescuing the company so that we are able to save more jobs in order to make the company fit, in order to make the company be able to compete and to grow in the near future.
Unions have also been vocal that he's speaking to us, saying that this restructuring process happens to affect the lower ground workers, saying why are executive salaries not cut or fringe benefits not cut in order to spare these workers who will lose their jobs. Of course, looking at the atmosphere of the current economic climate, the unemployment rate, the lowest in about a decade. What are you looking at in terms of that consideration and those other options that can be explored?
It is important to note that there was a period in the recent history where the executive management took a salary cut, and it happened only at that level. That is the first point that we need to register. The second point, as we continue to engage with labor, part of what has been placed on the table was the reorganization of a basket of benefits so that we are able to improve the impact of this organization insofar as the bottom line and the financial performance of the company is concerned. All these things have been part of the journey that we have undertaken with labor. However, a point at which we are not in agreement on is about the wage offer that we are presenting. There's one union that is willing to accept the 5.9% increase. Two others are making a demand of 8%. So what we are saying is that, notwithstanding the fact that they have served us with a notice to embark on an industrial action on Friday, we continue to reach out to them. We have open minds, so much so that even yesterday, in the afternoon into the evening, we reached out to them to meet with them, and we placed a revised offer on the table for their consideration. We are meeting with them later today at 2 o'clock in the afternoon to get a sense of whether or not they are open to what we have presented on the table. Different from the original offer, we are now presenting something that has been qualified in terms of the timeframes from an implementation perspective, and we hope that they will walk the journey with us. We need to work together in order to save the company and much more jobs, as well as related jobs in the value chain.
In terms of the plan of action, should these talks not be successful forward as of tomorrow?
If the talks are not successful, we are facing a dire situation. As it is, we are operating in an unfortunate environment where, following the unfavorable outcomes of our engagement with them last night, we then issued a notice into the market, to the media and to our customers, notifying them of flight cancellations. We thought we should be able to be fair and put our customers at the center of it and say that let's give them a minimum reasonable notice of about 48 hours so that they could look at alternative travel plans, because we are talking about an impact that will affect operationally approximately 104 flights per day, which translates into 52 million rands per day in lost revenue. That's the significance of us not operating, and we hope labor will understand that, how it will affect the company, how it will affect the employees, and how it will affect those who are dependent on these employees.
One union has said that the strike is indefinite. Do you have contingency plans in place for this?
Based on our analysis of the situation, the announcement that we have made because we are concerned that if we are leaving things to chance, it is the customer who is paying our salaries who is going to be impacted the most. We couldn't discount the fact that they have served us with a notice of strike. Hence, we took the decision to cancel the flights. But at the same time, the move that we have taken was to say, let's continue to monitor the situation. Hence, the decision was to cancel flights for 2 days only. So far, whilst we give the negotiation process a chance, it will possibly and hopefully lead to a favorable outcome. And if we have a favorable outcome, we will reinstate the services or will continue to operate beyond Saturday. But if not, we'll have to consider our options, and in terms of what we call a reaccommodation policy, those passengers that have already made bookings, we will find a way to facilitate their transfer in order for them to be able to fly with other airlines. Alternatively, if there's a chance for them to still fly in future, they can fly in future on SAA once the strike is over. The third option would be those who say it is pointless for us to travel at this stage because the reason for which they were to travel was based on a specific date of travel. We should be able to refund them. Those are all the issues that we are taking into account because we appreciate the fact that it is not the customer's fault that we are not operating.
Which flights will be affected by this strike?
The decision is to cancel all flights. What flights that are going to operate originating from Johannesburg. In other words, what we'll see happening from Friday, it will be only the inbound flights, that is the international and regional flights that will have started operating from Thursday coming into Johannesburg on Friday. But on the whole, all the three segments of our network, domestic, regional, which is Africa, and international, all continents we fly to, they will be impacted.
Let's leave it there. Thank you so much for your time. There you have it, SAA spokesperson Tlali Tlali saying that all flights will be affected. Also really appealing to unions to come to the table and agree to the wage offer that's on hand.